Okay. Dave Jamel, and Eli, and Courtney. Remember, there will be no more bonus for any of you until this is paid. So I would suggest you get that paid as soon as possible.
How much they owe you before?
50 cents. Okay. So here we go. We are going to start with practice test number 2. And I don't know what's going on. Normally you're half asleep. I'm very happy you're not sleeping, but you need to get focused, okay? So we're all focused. We have a test coming up. Some of us really need to do well, all right? All of us really need to do well. Number 1, we're going to simplify. This is practice test number 2. We're going to simplify this. Your test will start with 2 of these simplification problems. So what do you think of when you look at this? You got to do something. What do you think of that you can do here? So we can think of it as, Leah says she can think of it as cosecant divided by secant. Now, this is what Leah wants to do. You don't all have to do that, but you're going to see why that's kind of smart here in a minute. What do we know about cosecant? It's 1 over sine divided by 1 over cosine. Now, kids, you see why she wrote it sideways like that? Because now she can see I'm going to flip over the second one and multiply, because that's what I do when I divide fractions. So she has 1 over sine times cosine over 1. And when you multiply fractions, you go straight across. Nothing cancels. A lot of times stuff cancels, but not this time. So I multiply straight across, and I'm left with cosine over sine, which we all know is cotangent. Right? Okay, perfect. Second one. Cosine squared over 1 minus sine. What?
Just be 1.
No, because that's not squared. Cosine squared is 1 minus sine squared. But you can't do anything with 1 minus sine. Remember, the identity is sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Don't use any version of that unless they're squared, okay? That's squared, so you can bring it over here and bring this over here, so cosine squared equals 1 minus sine squared. So that is exactly right. Carol? Clara? Okay. Okay, now listen to me. No, never, ever, ever do we cancel pieces of a subtraction problem. If you want to cancel, you must factor first. If there are additions and subtractions, you must factor first. Okay? You must factor. So does that numerator factor? Yes, it does. That's the difference of squares. So 1 minus sine, 1 plus sine. Now I can cancel, because I'm not canceling a piece, I'm canceling the whole quantity. See the difference, Clara? Okay. So the answer would be 1 plus sine. 1 plus sine. Do not ever cancel if there's an add or subtraction problem. Now, those problems we did a whole bunch of before we took a quiz, and they were like this, you know, like this. That's fine to cancel because these are all multiplies. It's when you throw in these additions and subtractions, you have to factor first. Okay. All right. That takes care of that. Now we're on to the next part, which is solve the triangle. So when the directions say solve the triangle, what do I know? I'm going to use either the sine or cosine law. That's exactly right. So I'm just going to look at my problem, whatever I happen to have. In this case, I have this. Okay. And it tells me over here what I need to find. This is exactly what your test looks like. So look it over. What do you think? Okay, we can find angle C by subtracting from 180, 73 and 58. So it's 49. There's the easiest point you could ever get, guys. Don't mess that up, okay? Everybody does that. Fill in that blank. Okay, now you're going to need to decide, am I going to use the law of sines or the law of cosines? How do you know? Because I have a pair. And when I say a pair, what you mean is angle C and side C. So here we go. Sine 49 over 10. Remember, we always start with the pair. Equals, now you have a choice, I don't care, what do you want to do? Sine 73 over B. Okay, so now what happens? We cross multiply. So B sine 49 equals 10 sine 73. Agreed? And then we'll divide, and we always divide by the thing that's not our variable, so we're going to divide by sine 49. So 10 sine 73 divided by sine 49. I'll type that into my calculator. Round to the nearest hundredth. 12.67, is that what I heard you say, Jaden?
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty, Daddy, there we go, 12.67. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Alright, now what happens? You're not done with this problem yet. Now what happens? We do exactly the same thing, but we're going to do it with 58 and A instead. Could you have done 58 and A first? Sure, it doesn't matter. So sine 49 over 10, always go back to your pair. Sine 49 over 10 equals sine 58 over A. All right, so go ahead and cross multiply. I need everybody to check Power School sometime today too, and anything that's missing. Now, there are a few things that have been sent to me electronically I don't have in yet. They were sent yesterday and I don't have them in yet. But if you have something missing from before, you have a test missing or a quiz or a homework, you gotta get it in by tomorrow, okay? So double check. All right, anybody got A yet figured out?
2 4.
10 sine 58. You should have gotten 11.24. Anybody have a question about that? Everybody good with 11.24? Okay, next page. All right, we have another triangle. And we are solving it. So basically we're doing the same problem over again. Okay, so here we go. What are we going to do? This is going to have to be cosines. Because what do I not have? A pair. And the only way you can do sines is if you have a pair. We don't have a pair. So I'm going to set up my law of cosines. My angle is 53, so it goes out here at the end. And it's called the law of cosines because it's cosine 53 on the end. And then over here will be e squared. Now, what's going to be in the middle, in between those? 16 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 16 times 10. And this one is easy to type in, guys. Look, the variable is over here all by itself. Just type all that in, and that's what you're going to have. So 16 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 16 times 10 times cosine, remember this is a times right here, times cosine 53. Now you're going to get a big number, you're going to get 163, but remember that is actually e squared. So we need to square root that, and e should be 12.78. Okay, now the answer blanks are there to remind you you're not done yet. You have found little e, so you can fill in that blank, but you still have to fill in those other blanks. So what are we going to do to continue on with the problem?
Law of sine.
Now we're going to do the law of sines. So we can say sine 53 over 12.78 equals sine d over 10, for example. That be okay?
Yeah.
So now we'll cross multiply. So 12.78 sine d equals 10 sine 53. Now remember, your variable is sine d. So you're going to divide by 12.78, right? So sine d equals 10 sine 53 over 12.78. How do I type that in my calculator? Second sine. Remember, whenever your variable is sine d or cosine d, you have to do second. So second sine 10 sine 53 close parentheses divided by 12.78 equals, I got 38.68. Did you?
Yeah.
And then how about angle F?
Just subtract.
Don't make it hard, right? 180 minus. So 180 minus 38.68 and 53, 88.32. Is that okay with everyone? Remember, anytime you know two angles, just subtract from 180 to find the third one. Don't do a bunch of extra stuff. Okay, now we're on to the part that says how many triangles are possible. And we know that the answer is either 0, 1, or 2. So let's see about number 1, how many 973. All right, how do we start these problems that say how many triangles are possible?
Low sign.
We start with the law signs. And if you forgot that, look, don't you have a pair? So of course you're gonna start with the law signs, right? Jaden, David needs to pay attention. So do you. So sine 73 over 6 equals sine S over 9. So 6 sine S equals 9 sine 73. And remember, your variable is sine S. So you're going to be dividing by 6. So sine S equals 9 sine 73 over 6. We just talked about this. How does that go into my calculator? Second sine. 9 sine 73 divided by 6. What does that mean?
0
No
possible.
triangles possible, that's right. So this one we just put down 0. In the answer blank you put a 0. Because when we typed that in, we got an error message, right? And that means 0. Okay, well let's try the next one. These are all set up exactly the same, aren't they? So sine 52 over 16 equals sine S over 18. You already typed this in, Nathan? You're not going to score 26 points if you fall asleep in your game. 18 sine 52 divided by 16. Did you get an answer to that? I did. I got 62.44. All right, so wait, that changes things now. So 62.44, that's what I got when I second signed this thing right here. Okay? Now, I have to redraw my picture. If there's another answer, the angle for it will be 180 minus this one. So I'm going to subtract that from 180, and I got 117.56.
Barely.
Barely. It would be a very odd looking triangle, but is it possible? Yes, because you can have a triangle with a 52 and a 117. That's okay. Now, if this had been like 137, that would not be okay, right? Because these are more than 180. But because it was a 117, there are two possible triangles. There's the triangle with the 62 and the triangle with the 117. When it says show work, kids, I gotta see somewhere on there, I gotta see a 62 and I gotta see a 117. Because that's how you know there's two of them. Okay, one more of those. Some of you are busy working, you already have it done. Let's see. 75, 8, 10. sine 75 over 10 equals sine S over 8. Okay, so 10 sine S equals 8 sine 75. So second sine 8 sine 75 over 10. Did I do that too fast? Is everybody okay with that, Katie? Yes. 8 sine 75 divided by 10. I got 50.6. Anybody match that?
Yeah.
So again, when you get an answer, you have to immediately step over here to the side and say, okay, could there be a different angle S? Well, if there were, it would have to be 129.4. That would be the other angle S, because the other angle S is always 180 minus the first angle S. So can you have a triangle with a 75 and a 129? No, that one doesn't work, so therefore there is only one triangle. Okay? Listen, guys, I know we've done this a lot, and it's kind of boring when you keep doing like 3 problems that are all the same. But man, we gotta practice so that we get good at this. All right, so here we go. Now we're finding area. I promise that on the test, there's going to be, just like this, there's going to be 2 problems that are really easy, and then there's going to be a problem that is harder. Not hard, but harder. So here are our 3 area problems, A, B, and C. Would you call the first one easy or hard? Easy. Because it's just going to be a straight application of Hero's formula, right? So we're going to add up the sides. What do we get when I add up the sides?
9.
Well, I get 18, but half of that is 9. So when I do my area, it's going to be the square root of 9. That's the starting number. Because I start with half the perimeter. Right? Then I take the perimeter, or half the semi-perimeter, minus each side. Don't write down 5, 7, and 6. That's not right. It's 9 minus 7, 9 minus 5, 9 minus 6, in any order. And then multiply them all together and square root it. I got 14.7. Did you?
Yeah.
All right, that's easy. Which other one up here? That was A. This is B and that's C. Which other one is the easy one up here? C. Because C has exactly what you need. The other way we have of finding area is to take 1/2 side, side, sine of included angle, right? Side, side, sine, SSS, side, side, sine. And then we just type it in. So 1/2 times 11 times 10 times sine 53. I got 43.92. Everybody okay with that? Now, if you miss those 2 problems, it's because you're sleeping in class. Because those are easy. Now that middle one is a little bit more involved. It's harder because we don't have enough sides. To do area here, we need all 3. To do area here, we need 2. We only have 1 side. So we're gonna have to figure out another side before we can do the problem. So Nate says, well, the angle's not gonna be an issue because I can find angle H. And angle H is 45. So then I have a pair. So I can say sine 45 over 15 equals sine, doesn't matter which one you want to do, 63 over C. You could do 72 over S, it doesn't matter. So then we'll cross multiply again. So C sine 45 equals 15 sine 63. Now your variable, kids, is a plain old C. So do we second sign this one? No, we just, plain C's, you just type in. So 15 sine 63 divided by sine 45. Wait, I got 18.90. Is that right? Alright, that's 18.90. Please do not write that in the answer blank though, because you are supposed to be finding the area, right? The area. Can I now find the area?
Yeah.
Yes, because now I have two sides and the angle in between. So my area will be 1/2 18.9 times 15 times sine 72. You do not get a choice on the angle. If you are using these two sides, then you have to use the angle in between them. Now, you have a choice to find side C. What if you would have found side S? Well, then you would have to do 1/2 this sine 63, right? You gotta use the angle that's between the sides that you find. So, what did you get as an answer there? $134.81, is that what you said?
Yeah.
And that's it. Nope. Now, it's possible they could be off a little bit here because of we had round that off. You're gonna round this off, so depending on that rounding. But that's why you show your work, because then I know.
You wouldn't just done like what we done to find C on that, because why?
What now?
Like why didn't we do the process that we used to find C on that? For like the last side.
Because we weren't finding the last side. We're finding the area. And all it takes is two sides for the area. So if I needed the other side, yeah, this is how I would find it. But I don't need it in this problem, right? Because I'm doing area.
Okay.
All right, so speaking of area, now we have our word problems. All right, so here we go. Find the area of the regular pentagon inscribed in a circle with a radius of 10 feet. All right, so what's our strategy? What do? Draw a circle. And then what does pentagon mean? So I'm going to put 5 dots around my circle as evenly spaced as I can, but I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on this because nobody's grading my picture. Nobody cares what the picture looks like. We just have a picture so we can visualize what's going on. The radius is 10, so that means from the center to one of your dots, or all of your dots, is 10, right? These are all 10s. And then we're going to find the area of a triangle, right? Because our strategy is, there's 5 congruent triangles up there, so we'll find the area of one of them, and then times it by 5. So what am I missing here? I'd love to find the area of this triangle. What do I need?
360.
I need that angle, right? So that angle is there's 5 of them, and they make a revolution. So 360 divided by 5, so 72. Now, can I find the area of my triangle? Yeah. The area of the triangle is 1/2, 10, 10, sine 72. Remember, 1/2 side sine. Now, please don't write that number down. That is not the answer. We don't even care what it is. We're going to take that and hit times 5. 237.76. So 237.76, and that would be square feet, right? Wasn't it feet? Yep. Everybody okay with that? All right, now we're going to find the area. Got to read the problem carefully, guys. Don't get going too fast. Find the area of a parallelogram. So here's our parallelogram. And the sides are 10 and 16. And the larger angle is 104. Now, I don't know if I'm going to need it or not, but I just want you to get in the habit of writing it down right from the beginning. In a parallelogram, any parallelogram, so rhombus, rectangle, square, any parallelogram, these 2 angles right here where my fingers are supplementary. That means they add up to 180. So they told me the big one this time. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the little one. I know the little one is 76. You will always know that. If you know one of them, you know the other one. They have to add up to 180. And I don't know which one I'm going to need, but in every problem, you're going to need one or the other. So now I got them both. So I'm ready to go. Now I want to find the area of this thing. Okay? So split it in half. Isn't that, we didn't split this one in half, but didn't we divide this up into 5 triangles? So let's divide this into 2 triangles, and you can go either way. You can draw, does that split it into 2 triangles? It does. It does. So I'm not messing with that angle now. I'll get rid of that. And I don't even need all of this anymore. There's my triangle. Can I find the area of that triangle? Well, heck yeah. Don't I have 2 sides and the angle in between? So the triangle area is 1/2, 10, 16, sine 104. I have 2 sides and the angle in between. That's what it takes. Farrell?
Why couldn't you use 76?
Well, I'd have to draw the other diagonal.
Would that work?
Oh, sure. You just got to split it into triangles. Yeah. Now, what do I do with this number? So 1/2 times 10 times 16 times sine 104, and then times 2. Perfect. Because, let me draw the rest of my parallelogram in there. Aren't there 2 of these triangles here? And they're exactly the same. So whatever that area is, that's this one, so I'll just double it. And my answer is, for my parallelogram, 155.25 centimeters squared. All right. Now, question 3 uses the same parallelogram. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a parallelogram again. one was 104, this one was 76, this is 10, 16, 16. All right, now what does question 3 want me to find? Question 3 wants me to find the length of the shorter diagonal. The length of the shorter diagonal. So when I look for diagonals, this would be one diagonal, and this would be the other diagonal. Well, which one's going to be shorter? This one right here. So now I'm going to draw this diagonal in, and I am going to find the length of that. So I'm going to erase this part, not necessary for this problem. And now I'm finding the length. Now, if anybody is thinking 1/2 10 times 16 times sine 76, stop thinking that. That's the formula for area. And I'm not finding area. I'm finding the length of that side. So I'm going to use the law of sines or cosines. To find length, you use sines or cosines. So which is it going to be, Leo? It's going to be cosines. It's got to be cosines because I don't know these angles. Please don't say that's 104. The whole thing was 104, but didn't I cut through it? Yeah. And I didn't cut it in half. Don't do that. Use 76. So what will the law of cosine say? Well, over here is going to be cosine 76. What's going to be over here? X squared. Perfect. And then what's going to be in the middle? 10 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 10 times 16. And I can just type that straight in. So I shall 10 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 10 times 16 times cosine 76. And I say you type it straight in, but then what do you have to remember to do? Square root it. Yeah, there's just a little quirkiness with all of our formulas. We have to remember to do everything. So we're going to square root. I got 16.69 centimeters. You may match that. Pardon me? Just type in exactly what I wrote here and then take the square root of that answer. Okay, one more, and then this test will be over. I think this should be an easy one, don't you? All right, we got a regular decagon.
10.
That's 10. Big circle, and then 10 dots. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's my decagon. And all of these, you don't need to draw in all these spokes, but you can. And they're 15 inches.
36 is the angle.
So the angle, he says, is 36, the central angle. Would you all agree with that?
Yep.
360 divided by 10? So the area of the triangle is 1/2, 15, 15, sine 36. Would you agree with that? So 1/2 times 15 times 15 times sine 36. That's the triangle though. So what do we need to do? Times 10, because there's 10 of them this time. 661.26 square inches. Is that what you got?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good job. All right, what I want to do now, in our remaining couple minutes, is hand back your